What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be spectating random players in Fortnite Zero Build, going over what I think they do well, what they could do differently, and just the state of the game right now. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. And if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything, it is EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So I'm going Reptides this game just because it's the first POI, and hopefully a good amount of people land here. Seeming like nobody landed here. Okay, maybe we have a few. What the heck? They all just have really weird drops. Well, if you land at that place there, there's a stake at the bottom of in the grill there. There's a stake here, and there's also a stake on the workout bench. And so you can land at that pizza place and basically just run in a straight line and pick up 3 stakes to be able to lift the weight pretty quickly. It's not like instant with 3, but it's decently fast. 4 is the point where it's like basically instant. But yeah, if you are struggling to find the stakes or whatever, land at pizza, walk in a straight line, and you should be able to find them. This guy's dead. I don't like how he's playing at all. He just died to an AI. Prisoner 19A is an AI. Obviously, most of the damage was done by Chatterbox here, but still, the AI dealt the killing blow. Now this guy's got the crown. He only has the MK. Okay, he picks up other guns. I was about to be worried. He's only going to take the MK. He should be able to lift this weight up decently fast, though, I think. Because it also seems like the progress for the weight bench, or the lifting of it, is transferred. Like, as long as the stakes are eaten, it'll be, you get credit for it. It's not like you specifically need to be the person that eats it. And so he only has 3, I believe, since he's sticking with it. And that's how fast it opens with 3, which again was not instant, but it was fast enough to where it can be done. It looks like there's somebody in the bottom floor of the pizza place, but I think that was actually the hired NPC. I was dumb for a second. I forgot that that NPC was a thing in the game. He has the MK7 in the duels. I think if you are going to use the MK7, you definitely want to be using the dual shotguns or maybe even the Sovereign. Because while the MK7 does have a really high fire rate, so you think it would do good as a spray weapon, it has terrible hipfire accuracy, especially if you're jumping, which is something a lot of people will do when they swap weapons. They'll like shoot their pump, jump, and then swap to their AR, and then kind of just spray from the air. That is terrible with the MK. The hipfire accuracy when you're jumping is atrocious, and so you don't want to be doing that. And I just don't think it pairs that good as a spray weapon. And so if I was going to use the MK, I would really want to have the dual shotguns. This guy has no mobility, unfortunately. Like, that is really sad. I don't know if like quite literally everything from this POI has been picked through, but to not get any mobility at all is really sad. There is a stake right next to him on the laundry basket there as well. For potential future reference. It seems like he doesn't have any car spawns either. This guy got sad loot. Does have the gold. Actually, there's an SUV at the end of the street on the right side. He has gold, though. He can maybe shop for something. Not any mobility that he's going to be able to purchase. He can get some big pots, though. I don't really think buying the sniper is the way. If I was in this player's shoes, I would save my gold, get that car, and then go to the vending machine over here at the gas station. Because then you'll get a new set of spawns. And every vending machine spawn location has a vending machine like this. So he could buy big pots at that machine as well. There's a bush there he could put on. But maybe there would be like a K-pop Demon Hunters vending over there where he could buy like the ramen from, or maybe there's a gold vending machine that he wants to purchase a gold weapon from. He buys the Zoe NPC, which I believe is a healer. I think she periodically splashes you, but the healer NPCs I think have been pretty terrible for quite some time because they only splash you once and the cooldown is kind of large, like getting 20 health every like 45 seconds or so. I don't know if that's the exact amount of time, but yeah, it does not do that much healing. There's maybe times where that little bit saves you, but most of the time I don't think it's really going to be that big of a game changer. And I think a lot of the time the hired NPCs are a bit of a disadvantage because they give away your location, which is something that is really bad in a VR. Like, information advantage matters a lot. I'm sad with that fight. I think that Genie person that just died, they played that fight better. They hit hard shots with the pump, but just this player here having the gold dual shotguns is enough to, you know, just win them the fight. But either way, what I was going to say is the hired NPC giving away your location, I think, is a pretty significant disadvantage in a BR, especially if you're trying to like use mobility to reset a fight. Because if someone like shockwaved away from me or void masked away from me, and I don't quite know where they went, but I can just follow the NPC to their location, that is really helpful to me. And I feel like most of the time, the actual damage output the NPC does is really insignificant. I think the only NPCs that are really worthwhile are the supply NPCs. That's like a trade-off that maybe makes sense. You're giving away your location more, but you get unlimited mobility in the form of the NPC giving you shockwave, if provided you have some shockwaves for the NPC to give you. It's Gold Rush, so he's farming gold. I don't really know what he wants to buy at this point, though, because he has gold dual shotguns. He has big pots. Maybe he's just getting it to get it, but I really only like worry about taking advantage of that if there's something I want to buy. And there is a gold vending machine over here, it looked like, so maybe there's a gold weapon he could buy, but I kind of think he wants to stick with the MK. The big pot on the roof. Are you going to go to the gold vending machine, or are you just getting gold for the sake of getting gold? Now he has 1,500, so he could buy something here if he wanted. We'll see. Unfortunately, with Spectator, you can't actually see what they're looking at in the vendings. So there was just nothing he wanted in there. So GG's. He does get this fresh car, which is nice. So him swapping the cars is good because this one is going to be full on gas. He's like waiting for the NPC to get in the car, and the NPC is trying to make this process take as long as possible as she slowly walks to the car. She's out of stamina, and he's getting shot at by an AI right now. Oh, the person in the house is real. This is bad for him. This car is going to blow up. I don't know why that Sparkle Specialist hasn't killed him yet. He bunkers here. This Sparkle Specialist just got distracted by the NPC, and he's going to win this fight because of it. That is so lucky. I think this player should be dead right now. On Spectator, it looks like he's just hip firing there, but I'm pretty sure he was aimed in. There's just a bug with Spectator mode or replay mode sometimes where it doesn't properly show where people are aiming or like how they're aiming. So it looks like he's hip firing there, but that's just a bug. And I've seen that on other people's perspectives too. Like I had a time where I eliminated a streamer and they like watched it back. Hold on, we'll talk about this fight. He could just chill here. Like this fight is going fine for him. He beamed the other guy's car. If this guy keeps doing circles around, he can eventually blow the player's car up on them and then do damage. But it seems like he's just going to rift out of here, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I also don't disagree with. I think that fight was eventually going to go his way if that player was just like hyper fixated on their car, because it was already somewhat weak. They're going to swap to his previous car, I think. But what I was going to say is I've had a time where I eliminated a streamer and then they watched it back in replay mode and it looked like I just hip fired them like long range. But, you know, on my perspective, which I had a recording of because I was streaming, I was aimed in. And so like the replay mode and spectator mode are just like very buggy with things like that. I don't know why. I don't like make games, but that's just kind of the way it is. And then same with people who comment at like certain times like, wow, this player's aim wasn't even on him. Like that's just a replay bug or a spectator bug. Like it was. It just, the spectator is not ever a perfect representation of what's happening in game. So this is really bad. He got good damage on this Miku, but he didn't pressure the kill fast enough. And then a third party showed up behind him and he got beamed. And now he's going to continue to chase this Miku, I think, but he probably just needs to let that go. The other player is here. And it's also kind of hard for me to tell where the enemies are because his NPC is like making footstep audio too. But he's just going to chill here. Which I don't think is a bad play. With how many people are in this area, like you just want, this is an AI. You just want information on where people are. So like waiting until they fight and then trying to like pounce and third party it is something that can work out really well for you. This is bad. Don't shoot at that. There's so many people in this area. If he just started shooting at that rifter, I would have lost my mind. You can maybe go up there and third party that, but I think there's still somebody in the city behind him. This is an AI. No, it's not actually. Okay, it looked like an AI. Who's like standing there awkwardly. He gets absolutely full fried. There's a med kit here for him, luckily. Please pick up the med kit. I hate that. We've all had that time where it's just like an absolute struggle to pick up a piece of loot. He's going to be able to full heal. I think with that Miku, he should have just shockwaved on her. I think he like beamed her and then kind of walked up to her. Like he didn't want to use his shockwave, and then not wanting to use his shockwave, let her survive longer, let a third party show up. And then now everything that has happened as a result of that is kind of just because that Miku survived a little bit longer. If you got that kill more clean, then a lot of the stuff that happened changes. Like doesn't happen the same way. That's why like if you're going to pressure a kill, like doing it quick is so important. I'm scared for him though. Is that default that like why is he eating this? He's eating it just for the speed. I would want to go to the Bumpy Bay vending machines right now and buy big pots, or go to Humble Hills vending machines and buy big pots. I would have liked to carry the noodles as well, but it's like kind of hard to say when it's just one. Like he has one big pot, one noodles. For that ratio, I'd rather have the noodles, but it definitely is more likely he finds big pots. Being able to buy them, I don't think is the biggest deal because he has so much gold to where it's not really going to matter, you know? That's why I was like confused about him drinking the noodles at first, because I would want to hold it, but also like, I get it. And there's nothing I would want him to drop for like both the noodles and the big pots. But going to these vendings and getting more bigs, I think is something you want to be doing. The Humble Hills machines are likely safer, but he's still just hanging out in this area. Either way though, one big pot or one flowberry mist, I don't think is an adequate amount of heals. And he's not really doing anything with this time anyways. Like he's just chilling. So like he could have went to Humble Hills and bought some bigs. Or went to these vendings and bought some bigs. The player under him? That's that person that fried him earlier. Only hits 19. That's not good. Alright, perfect. Dual shotguns work out again. There's a barrel behind him, I think. A slurp barrel. That was sketchy, though. The 19 damage, I thought for sure the default was just going to turn and fry him again. But that kind of shows what I was talking about earlier with the hipfire of the MK. Like at first with this fight, the default was trying to hipfire him with the MK, and they like didn't hit him at all. And then they eventually swapped to their sovereign shotgun. But by then it was just too late. Like the damage this player had done and the fact that they're already like dueling him in the face just means that they're guaranteed to lose that. In a situation where like you would maybe think the MK would be okay because it shoots really fast, but the hipfire on it is so like fickle. Like it just is not good. I wouldn't want to be spraying a spray weapon versus the duels in a range like that anyways, but still like the lack of damage the default had gotten is kind of surprising. But unluckily for this, or unfortunately for this player, that elimination didn't get him any more heals and it didn't get him any more mobility. And on both of those fronts, he's doing terribly. Like one big and one shot, or sorry, one flowberry mist and one shock makes it very hard for him to respond to any sort of like bad timing. If somebody gets damage on him and they want to like shockwave on him, he's not going to be able to reset that fight. And the flowberry mist previously was like a pseudo mobility item, but that was removed. There was a bug with the flowberry mist where people were getting underneath the map, and that was changed. So now the flowberry mist no longer gives you low gravity, and so it's not really a mobility item anymore. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's trying to rescue his NPC. This is just not it. He can get these barrels or use a medkit to heal himself, but like those there's other people fighting on the other side of zone, it sounds like, and I would like to have like the potential to third party them. Please go zone. It's like zone is moving again, and because he freed his NPC, he's like absolutely on the edge of zone. Whereas he could have already been like over here. There's somebody, okay, no, that's just the hired where it spawns. But he could have already been like moved up to here and gotten like early ahead of zone to try to hold these people. And luckily for him, nobody took that spot. But if he was getting held right now by somebody that was already there, you don't want to shoot this Miku. You just go zone. This kill is useless. There's 4 people remaining. getting this one kill doesn't win you the game, and it runs you the risk of like getting held in zone. You don't want to fight in a spot like this. You see where they are in zone? They are not in the next storm circle. The next storm circle has high ground, elevation, and a mountain like that's going on there. And so forcing this fight is just going to get him and this Miku killed. Probably. We'll see. He knocks her. Gets the kill. What is his HP at, though? He's at 34 HP in a 2-tick zone. And now he's on, like, an absolute terrible spot of zone. The other people are fighting, which is, like, very lucky for him, but he's not going to be able to do anything about it. If either of those other two people just looked at him and that Miku fighting, both of them are dead. But he gets, like, the best case scenario where these people fight in zone. He's going to bunker, but this isn't in zone. He has no mobility in one bunker. Unless his Beavis just dies here, I think it's going to be very hard for this player to win. He gets good damage there, and he's going to get access to this loot to see if there's anything for him. But if that Beavis has, like, heals and more bunkers, I do not like Chatterbox's odds. I think forcing that fight in Storm like that is just the worst thing he could do. Whereas he could have just walked up this way and, like, played the edge zone. Been safer. It might work out, but I think that was, like, huge luck. That is, like, one of the worst things you can do in game is force a bad fight in Storm that doesn't end the game. If it was a 1v1, I get why he would want to, like, kind of take advantage of that timing and grief the Miku. But with how many people were alive, he does very bad. Gets good damage there at 60. He doesn't have any mobility to push off, though. Luckily, he has a bush here, but he doesn't have zone. That Beavis has zone. He can bunker in between the two of them, I think, is what he has to do. He throws it right at him, and it just evaporates. I guess it buys him a little bit of time, though. But I think throwing the bunker in the intermittent... It's GG's. Throwing the bunker on the ground in between himself and the Beavis would have allowed him, like, a little position to push up to, get more damage on the Beavis and back them down, and then he could have pushed up using the tires of the bunker after that and gotten to, like, here without taking much damage. But throwing it all the way like he did... maybe works out because he, like, blocks the Beavis line of sight, but unfortunately the bunker just, like, evaporates because it wasn't actually connected to anything. And then he gets fried and loses. Mainly just because this Beavis got ahead of his own, like I was saying, what you want to be doing. So, like, him forcing the fight with the Miku didn't immediately lose him that game, but it led to a situation where he was losing the game. He gets good damage on this Beavis. I think he fried him mid-range 120, but he doesn't have any mobility to push with because he had to use his mobility to get into zone after fighting that Miku. And he didn't have much heals because, like I had talked about before, he only had that, like, one Flowberry mist. It does get him to 100 because he's uninterrupted, but yeah, I think that, like, one little decision in the endgame there made things so much harder for him than it needed to be. And that one kill, you know, didn't win him the game, but that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.